Tikera Africa, interestingly, is from the word Tikera is a derivative of the words that mean creativity in our three major languages in Nigeria. So T, Ke, and Ra. Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo was how we formed that particular term, Tikera. And the idea behind Tikera is that young people who are creatives and who aspire to be able to build businesses and enterprise out of their creative skills can find a place where they can connect with others, so their peers, and we can also provide the sort of education, skills, resources that they need to not just build or start up businesses with their skills, but to also sustain those businesses and perhaps begin to trade with other regions or countries across the world. And Tikera Africa is also serving the need of bridging the gap between multi-generations and preserving the African culture and heritage. So for us, the cultural dimensions of Nigeria and Africa are so important that we can't afford to lose a lot of them. So there needs to be a transgenerational transfer of knowledge, of art, of craft, of skill, of competence. And so that at the end of the day, we are preserving our culture. And so arts and craft is not lost. So Tikera Africa has different expressions. We have Madhouse, which is primarily focused on education. And then we have the Creative Village, which focuses primarily on the preservation of African culture and heritage. It takes a lot. I think that with Tikera Africa, one of the things that we have learned since inception is having the right people on board. I think just like every other organization, it's important that the right people buy into your vision and the mission of the organization. And that's what the founder has been able to do with every interaction with those of us on the team who are serving. And so it's beyond just a job, it's a commitment to a cause, to a movement. It's a belief in what the founder is trying to do. And of course, the need that exists in the creative and cultural industry. So people, I would say, is very critical. And then you have to have the right processes and structures in place because people say that culture would eat strategy for breakfast. So you can have the great people, you can have the right people, but if you don't have the right structure or the right culture within the organization, then, it's not going to be sustainable. It won't last. And when they say build to last, that book, highlights a lot of very interesting things, terms structurally that are required for organizations to thrive for a long time. Tikera Africa wants to be around, will be around for the long haul. We're not in a sprint race. We're here to fix the challenge that currently exists within the creative and cultural industry. So people, the right culture, the right systems, processes, and of course, because we are bridging a gap that exists, we have to walk the talk rather than just talk about what the problem or the challenges are when we are not exemplifying or demonstrating or modeling what the solution would be to the challenges we've identified. So people, culture, process, structures, and of course, finally, partners. We never do this alone. And at Tikera Africa, we realize that we cannot go through this journey alone. So we are open to partnerships. We are constantly exploring conversations and relationships that help us advance the objective, the vision. So partnership, very key. So having the right partners. The moment I knew I wanted to work in the creative space was when I started doing some research. Before I joined the organization, and having preliminary conversations with the founder and getting to appreciate the vision behind this, whole concept that we call Tikera. I then began to see the potential in the creative industry. And we know for a long time I have worked generally in the youth development space, and I have seen that there's a massive challenge that we have with youth unemployment, not just in Nigeria, but on the continent. And seeing the potential that this creative industry has in transforming the livelihoods of young people really drew me and pulled me to the industry, because I am very, very passionate about how we can continue to build the capacity of our young people so that they can begin to contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. They are critical stakeholders and actors in our collective economic progress. So that was what really drew me to the industry. And then, of course, matching that with the vision, behind Tikera Africa, I was completely sold. And just even the personal experience of the founder and his journey and the idea behind creating this organization was not just altruistic, but it was phenomenal. And that got me to not just work within the creative industry, but also at Tikera Africa, that's leading the provision of solutions to the problems or challenges that currently bedevil the industry, Nigeria, and broadly on the continent. I like to tell a story of a young girl who walked into our facility in Lagos, which is located on the University of Lagos campus. She's a final year student of the Creative Arts Department. She'll be graduating in a few months, but she had walked into our space in maybe November last year, which is 2004. And she literally had approached us to say she needed a space where she could work out of. She's a creative, she paints, and she had this, small canvases that she would bring into our facility and paint on. On a particular day, we had a gentleman who walked in as a visitor and was interested in looking at the facility. And while taking him on a tour around our building, he meets this young lady and asks her whether she could actually do something much bigger on a grander scale than she was currently painting on. She was quite hesitant to commit in the affirmative to him because she had never tried it. Fast forward a few weeks later, she is painting something that is probably 10 times the size of what she was painting when this client or visitor, met her in Madhouse, which is one of our facilities. That's what it's called. And fast forward, she's painting 5 or 6 of those. And the gentleman who walks in and who had commissioned her is paying her top dollar for these artworks. All right. So these are the sort of stories that really inspire me on a personal level. Now, what I found very interesting about this young lady was after she had done 5 or 6 of these artworks that are massive, she's never going to, now if she's going to do the smaller paintings, it will be a matter of choice, not capacity. But she walks up sometime in February, just before the Valentine's Day, and says, she wants to do some event that will be paid. And for me, that was also very instructive, because we are about building more creative enterprises, founded by creatives themselves. And she says she wants to organize an event, a paint and sip event that will be paid. And then 2 days before, she comes into our space lamenting about how she's tried everything, but she hasn't gotten anyone to register. It's 48 hours away from the D-Day. And then we sat with her and spent about 45 minutes to an hour just helping her, walking her through what she needed to do in terms of her marketing. And then she comes in the day before the event and she's completely sold out. It's a true life story. And then we have to find additional space, because the space we allocated to her was completely filled for that event. Fast forward, she had the event on February 14th. She had great reviews from her clients and those who were part of the event, and we're working with her to replicate that across board. These are the sort of stories that resonate with me and resonate with us at Tikera Africa. And what we want to be able to do is continue to make many more of these sort of creatives who are now doing business, who are now employing other people, who are now seeing themselves much bigger than they ever saw themselves, particularly as creators of jobs. Support it's multidimensional. I would say that from what we have seen and from just even what the industry currently shows, creatives need to start with a mindset reorientation, just understanding that they are more than creatives. They are more than painters. They are more than fashion designers. They are more than accessory makers. They're more than photographers or videographers. They actually have the potential to contribute to the national GDP. So it's a mindset shift. It's a paradigm shift. That's something they need. They also need the right mentorship, relationships. A lot of them are yearning. They are skillful, they are talented, but they are yearning to be guided. They are yearning to have conversations with people who are more experienced than they are. They're excited and yearning to learn from a lot of their senior colleagues in the industry. But we don't have that intentional, structured mentorship at the moment, and that's one of the gaps that we're also feeling. Another thing they need is information. Information for us at Tikera, one of our core values is experimentation and research. So a lot of them are not willing to experiment. Sometimes you find that we can be very monotonous in our approach, in our climb, by reason of our education or our exposure. We are told to do things a particular way. But a lot of creatives, you're not seeing as much experimentation. You're not seeing them research. There isn't that culture of research, of finding information, of being able to get data, analyze data, and see how that data can inform their creative process. We've seen pockets here and there, but there's so much more that needs to be done in that area. So they need opportunities to be able to conduct research. They need to be taught, to be guided along those lines. And then, of course, organizational structures. How do they build businesses? The fundamental skills in building and starting businesses and running those businesses profitably, such that they could attract more investments. They could also be profitable to investors as they go along their business development journeys. So these are some things that creatives really, really, really need. And of course, how to sell their ideas. How do you sell what you're doing? How do you package? We like to say package a lot in our climb, but how do you package what you're doing in such a compelling manner? But it's not fluff. It's not just speaking empty words, but you can actually back up everything that you're saying. So your ability to sell, your ability to market yourself, market your brand. And that's one of the things that we're also focused on, providing market linkage and access for young creatives so that whilst they build really good businesses, product, services, they have platforms and opportunities to be able to sell without geographical boundaries. The world has now been made easier for trade across borders with the advent of technology. So we're leveraging that as well to provide more access to market for creative businesses. I think in advising any African emerging creative, I would say that the fintech industry experienced a massive explosion in the last few years. The creative industry has same or perhaps even a bigger potential. You have the capacity and the potential to be able to do that. It's not motivational talk. The numbers show it. The creative industry in Africa is going to be the biggest in another few years in terms of revenue generation. you need to be able to find a way to tap into all of that. Whether you're within the value chain, and we always realize that not everybody is going to start up businesses. So you may not want to start a business, it's not compulsory, but how do you plug into the entire creative value chain? And how do you bring excellence to every single thing that you're doing? That should be your priority. And you can't bring excellence into the value chain or into running your own business as a creative if you're not searching for knowledge, if you're not hungry and yearning for opportunities to learn and develop yourself. So personal development is so important. Don't underestimate the strength of developing yourself. Don't wait for anybody to give you that opportunity to learn. Don't wait for anyone to give you the platform to express yourself. Create the platforms, leverage technology, and there's so much you can achieve. All right, so over the next 6 months to a year, there's quite a number of things Tikera Africa is working on. In our Abuja facility, we have started off a program that targets women artisans. There's a lot of lost art and crafts in Nigeria these days, and we've just finished the pilot of that program, and we're going to scale with other partners within the sector. So look out for that. It's happening in Abuja, but it's Abuja because it's the central location, but we're going to be leveraging artisans from the northeastern region. We're also doing quite a number of partnerships, collaborations with the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and the creative economy. We have a number of residents from a just concluded residency at Madhouse by Tikera, who will be showcasing in Abu Dhabi later on this year. We have a massive conference that's coming up here at Unilag in November in commemoration of the Africa Youth Day. And the idea behind that conference is we are bringing a linkage between town and gown. So those in town are the people within the industry, the creative industry, and gown are the academia community. So the students, the professors, and everyone who's part of that network will be exchanging really valuable insights during the conference. And then we'll also have business clinics, speed mentorship going on at that conference. It's in commemoration of the United Nations Africa Youth Day. So we have that coming up at the end of the year here at Unilag. We're partnering with the University of Lagos. We're partnering with the Africa Union to reach many more creatives across the continent. That's why we're Tikera Africa, not Tikera Nigeria. So while we're domiciled or headquartered in Abuja, in Nigeria, our footprints are expanding very rapidly across the region and across the African continent. 3 things I can't travel without. Wow. I can't travel without my phone. But I'm not addicted to my phone, trust me. I can't travel without my headset. I love listening to music. It calms me when I'm on a flight, and I just really enjoy music because it does a lot of calming and relaxing for me. So I can't travel without my headset and my music device. Another thing I can't travel without, I would say, would be my face towel. I always have a face towel with me because sometimes so I would actually say face towel and a bottle of water. I actually have my bottle of water across. So I like taking water a lot. And I also, as you would imagine, perspire because that water has to go somewhere. So I don't travel without my face towel, my water bottle, my headset, because music is important to me. And there was another one I mentioned. What? My phone. Thank you. It's very interesting because, anyone who rides with me when I'm driving knows that I could switch. It's really informed or influenced by my mood. So sometimes I really like upbeat music. And then there's sometimes that I'm just seeking something very relaxing, slow paced, slow beat. So I do a mix. I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, I don't have a particular preference. It's all influenced by my mood. I would say, I would say early bird. Early bird. I tend to wake up early. Sometimes I have very long dedicated hours where I'm so active, super active, hyperactive in the early hours of the day. So I would say early bird. All right, it's been a really good time having this conversation with you. Thank you so much, Tag.